Welcome back to Gold Derby. I'm Christopher Rosen. I'm joined by Joyce Ing. Joyce, we're recording this on Monday, May 31st, the final day.
It's Tuesday. It feels like a Monday, but it's Tuesday.
Rewind. Tuesday, right, because Monday was Memorial Day. Hi.
It's a 4-day week.
It's a 4-day week. So far, so good. But no, we're recording this on May 31st. It's a Tuesday, and it's the last day of eligibility for Emmy voting. Or Emmy eligibility.
And no surprise drop. The last minute surprise.
Nothing. Bo Burnham almost did it with his YouTube of outtakes.
Did you watch that?
No,
I
didn't.
No.
It's an hour long.
Night on Monday.
Yeah, it's an hour long.
Yeah.
That's a long time for outtakes, I gotta say.
But you have enough time to watch Stranger Things twice.
Yeah, well, I had the screeners for Stranger Things. Stranger Things rules, but we're not talking about Stranger Things, Joyce. We're talking about...
I think we've talked about Stranger Things enough the past 3 weeks.
We're talking about comedy.
And it was and by say we, I mean you.
Yes. We're talking about comedy with the LOLs, Joyce, once again, because this is a big week. It's the finale of Hacks. We just had the finale last week of the Flight Attendant, which I know you enjoyed. And then this week, it was amusing. But I have thoughts on Flight Attendant and Hacks also. Finale of Hacks is this week, and a great episode of Barry this week that you said you had the stands nervous about, the Barry stands.
I got a reply from someone when I just tweeted on Sunday about how great this episode is. The last 10 minutes, amazing, and Bill Hader needs to win the directing Emmy. And then somebody said I got all the Barry stands doubled over in pain and fear, which is very funny. I mean, the ending, I mean, he's in a precarious situation at the end, but I'm still not worried about him. It's still just a very LOL chase scene. Amazing stuff there.
Barry, definitely, yeah, and Bill Hader for directing, right? I feel like that's always a thing. I watch the Hack screeners, Joyce, which I rarely.
I know do. That's someone like you.
I rarely do, but I was just excited to watch the Hack screeners because I felt like my take on Hacks this season was that the first 6 episodes were a little meandering and incomplete, and I wanted to see how the finale wrapped things up. And boy, oh boy, was I satisfied. The last 2 episodes are amazing. Definitely the best of the season, my take.
They're really good. And I mean, I had the opposite take of you because I thought the season from the beginning was great.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it always had momentum with the tour, and every episode had a purpose. And I was kind of worried that them doing 2 fewer episodes this season would kind of blunt that, because it felt, when I watched the first 6 screeners, it felt so abrupt that at the end it was just we're going to LA and we're going to sell this as a show. And I was oh, you only have 2 episodes left. But 7 and 8 are probably the 2 best episodes of the season.
I would definitely agree. So I feel very similar to me. You're going to laugh at it. I know you're not going to like it. It's a season 2 of Ted Lasso, in that it took a great first season and then kind of meandered and didn't really know what to do. The difference is, whereas Ted Lasso stretched itself, I think, to 12
they added episodes. 2 episodes,
and that was that, and one of them was not what you want, and the other one was a Christmas special, and the whole season felt like it was 8 episodes of content and 12 episodes of episodes. Hacks feels like it was, I don't know, the first 6 to me felt just very rushed and abrupt, and then going back to LA, I was oh, this is cool, and then it just ends. But it's such a satisfying ending, and I was oh man, I can't wait to see season 3. Though also, again, I would argue it could just be a series finale if they decide they don't want to do it anymore. The way it ends.
You said that, but I understand, but I also disagree, because I think I texted you because I watched the screeners first, and I told you that it was, the finale was Minx-esque.
Yes.
They do Minx. A lot in 30 minutes, just like Minx.
Incredible.
But Minx, their finale felt like it could double as a series finale or just a season finale. So I don't agree that Hacks feels finite, whereas I think something like the Flight Attendant's finale.
I absolutely. I think the Flight Attendant, which we'll talk about, could easily be the end. I think Hacks, if it didn't come back, would have a very satisfying end. That said, I do want to see where it goes. And I thought of this watching the final 2 is just the direct, talking about the directing and everything about those last 2 episodes is so good. It's just so well done. And 30 minutes that feels 10 minutes. It just flew by, the finale. I feel I think it's 34 minutes.
It always flies by. It's Hacks, Minx, and Barry, they do so much in 30 minutes, and a lot of other shows can learn from them.
So I think that they can, but also I think Hacks had that problem early in the season. I just didn't think the road trip stuff was really compelling, and it felt like a lot of stuff that I just already knew about them, and the relationships. I also think that the more you show of this is maybe the more you show of Deborah's stand-up, the less it's just not that funny. And it has that like Studio 60
They didn't
problem.
really show that much of it though.
They did a little. They showed her like on the cruise bombing and like a
Yeah.
bunch of like montage jokes. And I was just like, none of this is that funny. And it's
Well,
like,
she was supposed to bomb on the cruise, and then they showed like her stuff at in 6 when she has like the breakthrough moment.
right.
But
I guess I did.
like they definitely showed more of her stand up in the first season, I feel like, or I haven't watched the first season.
I haven't watched the first season in a while. And actually, I would suggest for people who are watching the finale this week to maybe go back and watch the first episode of the first season or first couple of episodes, because a lot of the Ava stuff that is laid out in that first couple
she's
episodes
back in LA.
comes home to roost. And if you're like, who are these people? You might, like I was, and looking it up, because I was like, I obviously remembered some of the characters, but I was like, what was going on with that? Because it's been so long since we've like had that part of her life shown, because she was in Las Vegas for so much of the first season and then obviously on the road this season, that it was like, oh, that's interesting. And I thought all of it paid off really well. So I do think that Hacks, now I still have it winning, even though I compared it to Ted Lasso season 2. I do think it is a lot like Ted Lasso season 2. I still think it'll end up winning best comedy series. I have it predicted there. And I think the finale or the last 2 episodes only makes it more certain, because I have a hard time imagining even people who are mixed on the season would have a difficult time with the finale, because it's so good.
It's so good, and both Jean Smart and Hannah Einbinder are amazing. Like I've always felt like, just like last season, Jean can submit anything.
Jean can submit anything, but I think the stuff in the finale is like, the last 3 episodes really are unbelievable.
Yeah, like 6, like when we had the first 6 screeners, I was like 6 would be an amazing submission for her. And like 7, she's really good in, but that's more of an episode from Ava's point of view, like a lot of setup of Ava stuff. But the final episode, 8, is Jean A+, like no notes.
Truly. And I actually think Hannah Einbinder and Ava, I think Hannah could win. This Hannah could win over Hannah Waddingham. I think this stuff in 6, 7, and 8, especially, I thought 8, she's amazing too, though.
Yeah, she was really good.
Hannah Einbinder. And like really sells. So one of the things I found interesting thinking about the first season is that she's so funny, and like I think I've said many times, like standing shoulder to shoulder with Jean Smart and not getting blown up the screen is like really impressive. But I think this season there's a lot more like dramatic stuff that they have her try to do, and she really nails it. Not just like, so in the earlier episodes, definitely with like her dad's ashes, I think those scenes could be played like kind of smarmy or like sarcastically, and she plays it like very sincerely and like really sad. And then later on in the finale, I thought like she like killed it. I just was like very impressed with her in the finale, and I wonder if she could, if there's a big Hacks, love fest, I really think she could win.
Yeah, I think she can win too. And I can't wait until Thursday comes and then everyone starts complaining about category fraud with her again. Because like, she's a co-lead. I don't care.
Definitely
don't care. She can submit wherever she wants. I don't care.
It's certainly a co-lead, especially because, like you said, like so much of the last 2 episodes is like reestablishing Ava in LA. So it really does end up almost flipping the show slightly, because like it's more focused on like the dramatic stuff happening with Ava than it is with Deborah.
Yeah. I think they'll just keep them split like that, like forever, for however long the show runs,
Yeah, I mean, obviously, they're going to keep them split like that because one is Jean Smart and then the other one is Hannah Einbinder. That's why, basically, right? Like, it's like if Hannah Einbinder.
That's why they did it in the first place, because no one knew who she was. Remember last year when we were like, I think we were pretty early on board the Hannah Einbinder train when people were still not predicting her.
Yeah,
because it was like, could she get in? Because like no one knows who she is. Like, she's a complete newbie.
Absolutely, we were very early adopters on her. The other thing I would say is, we talked about this briefly previously, Paul Downs. Absolutely.
I believe I told you, I texted you like 7 would be his tape.
So I have him in, and I know
I think I should add it. Hold on, let me do this on my phone.
And I also saw stuff like in early, so I'll be curious, like I said, I'll be curious to see the reviews, because they didn't send 7 and 8 to critics. So most critics reviewed off 6, and a lot of the reviews that were mixed that I would tend to agree with were like, it ends up having a problem where the stuff that's not Ava and Deborah related feels completely extraneous. So like that really focuses in on Carl Clemens Hopkins's character.
They brought him on the road,
which doesn't work at all. And then they bring him on the road later, right, to replace like Laurie Metcalf, which doesn't really work. And I don't think his whole arc it just felt like the main show was away from him and they wanted to keep him on the show. And so like, how do you do that? And they kind of generate a little bit of a C plot with the character, but it doesn't totally work. Paul Downs, I think you could argue that too, but the stuff with Paul and is so funny and like just kills. And the way it resolves is really great. And he ends up being like the third lead of the show, I'd argue, right? Like, I mean, like he definitely, and you have like
is a very strong presence in the last two.
And he has like a real emotional, like kind of evolution in an arc that's not just
and he also
jokes.
I guess it's in 5 this past week when like he and Kayla had like the heart to heart, right?
I think so.
Yeah, it was in 5, because 6 is Devon Sawa, so
right.
Who deserves to be nomination himself.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
And yeah, the stuff with Jimmy and Kayla is really good because I know like Kayla is a divisive character as well, and now I want to like predict next altar.
I almost could too. It's just very crowded, and I'm still not convinced that like the multiple SNL people would get in, even though I don't believe any of them necessarily deserve it based on the buzz this season. But obviously, like Kate McKinnon's final season of SNL will probably get her a nomination. But yeah, Meg Stalter is hilarious, and that I felt like the similarities between Hacks and Flight Attendant finales, I would say, extends to the idea that there's a built-in spin-off possibility for it that they could just decide to do if they end the series.
I mean, I would watch the Flight Attendant spin-off with Annie and Max.
I would definitely watch a Flight Attendant spin-off with Annie and Max, and I would definitely maybe watch a Hack spin-off with Paul and Meg.
See, like, I don't know if they like can sustain like a full series themselves, the two of them. Like, I feel like that's why they work so well on Hacks, because they come in like those small doses,
right?
You know, even though they have a lot more depth this season.
I'll give you another comp to Hacks that I also felt like was, I felt like watching The Offer. A lot of Hacks. Here's the take that will make you just like shake your head and just say no. Hacks is a prestige TV version of Entourage.
Why? Why?
Just because it is very similar. Like, Deborah got the movie, it's like, it's going to work out and everything is going to be fine. There's not a lot of tension on that front. And it just reminds you of Entourage sometimes, certainly from the Hollywood setting as well. But obviously,
how big of an Entourage stan were you back in the aughts?
I wasn't a stan, but I watched every episode. I could not tell you really much about anything beyond like the first few seasons.
Did you watch the movie?
No, I've never actually seen the movie. I don't watch movies. I never watched the Sex and the City movies, and I mistakenly watched the Sopranos movie. I should not.
I walked by when they were filming the Sex and the City movie. This is, I guess, back in 2007, because they were filming by the library, the New York City library, like the wedding scene when she like hits big and like gets out the limo and hits big.
Right.
That's those photos and that scene from the trailer is all I see, and they stopped me because they were like setting up the shot, so I couldn't walk by it. So that's my Sex and the City movie story.
Yeah, I don't love the HBO movies shows turning into movies. I get why they do.
Yeah, I don't
just
need
do
that.
Another show.
Like 6 seasons and a movie.
No.
So like, when shows end, just end. I don't need anything else. I don't need a revival or a reboot or anything.
I would watch it. I could watch a show, but I'm like, it's a show. It's not a movie. Keep out of movies. We don't need a Entourage movie.
They're making feature length episodes now, so
that's fine. Totally fine with that. It's a little TV show. It could be 2 hours long.
On a Stranger Things note, my friend told me yesterday on Monday that on Sunday he and his friend watched like 3 episodes of Stranger Things, and they were just like, "Why is this so long?"
So I think it can't get enough.
He said that to me, and I told him, just brace yourself, because episode 9 coming July 1st is 2.5 hours long, or more than 2.5 hours. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm not watching that." So
love it. Yeah, can't wait. It's better paced than Girls Five Eva and Hacks. Possibly the Hacks finale redeemed itself, but Stranger Things in the 2 hours
Hacks has always been well paced. I don't know what you're on, that a 29-minute episode of Hacks is slower for you than a 90-minute episode of Stranger Things.
Stranger Things cooks. It's so good. I love it so much. But no. So Hacks, Joyce, I think you can win multiple. I think you can win Gene and Hannah Einbinder Emmys. And I hope Paul gets nominated.
I've had it in first, the show in first this whole time, so yeah. I'm not moving it.
No, I'm not going to move it either. And I think Paul Downs won't win, but I definitely think he should get nominated. It's just such a great performance. And I mean, Hacks was strong enough last time to support Carl Clements Hopkins' nomination that no one really saw coming. And while it maybe is, you might think like, oh, then he'll just get nominated again. Like I said, I don't think Marcus has a lot to do.
He got a very cute dog that almost died.
Yeah, it's totally fine. He's not bad. He's still good, but it just is like he's the meat of the supporting male characters are given basically to, I think, Paul Downs instead.
Jimmy, yeah, and I think like even when Marcus comes on the road with them, he's not in a lot of scenes. Like it's like in that opening, the teaser, I think, and that the first episode when he's on the road when they're playing celebrity.
And also
right?
the
and then he has like the fair thing with Hannah.
Right. The road stuff kind of ends too.
Yeah, like, and then in the final two, he's just like there as support as they're pitching her stand-up special.
He does have a really funny line coming in. I guess I won't spoil it, but they come up with a scheme to get Deborah's special on, and he cites a disgraced comedian.
Yes.
And then later comes in and goes, "Oh wait, he had a whole infrastructure," and it's just the way he's just like.
It was a really good line reading.
Really funny. It's like bad news. It's just like it made me laugh because I was like, no kidding. It's just very funny. Hacks is great. Joyce, so Flight Attendant, we also had a finale of. I actually moved it off my list now. I've been vacillating back and forth.
What did you replace it with?
Let's see. You're gonna laugh at me. I already forgot, but let me see. Hang on. This is scintillating. It's just a little slow to get back to the prediction here. So I kept Minx.
Okay.
Why wouldn't I? And I replaced it with the After Party, Joyce.
Oh, you're back on the After Party geek.
I'm back on the After Party. I've still neglected to put Atlanta in or What We Do in the Shadows, 2 FX shows that are very popular and like well critically acclaimed. I'm just not convinced.
And former nominees.
I'm just not convinced on either of them. And I'm just dicting Minx still. And the After Party, I feel like I'll give you this. In keeping with the Lord and Miller social media onslaught, they are really pushing it. Really, really pushing it and not making sure people don't forget it. And I think if that gets a not insignificant number of Television Academy members to watch it, they will not be disappointed because, like we said, the show's really great. So I think it was just a visibility thing to me for it. So I'm putting it in. I don't know.
Yeah, the only After Party nom I still have and / hope dicting is Ben Schwartz.
I think I have him too. So Flight Attendant I knocked out only because I just was like, man, the finale is very silly. It's definitely like you said.
It's so silly.
It's like you said, it's definitely a comedy. For anybody who is like, Flight Attendant's a drama. No.
Just watch the finale, please.
It's just so silly. It's incredibly silly.
I believe in our column you called it daffy, and I'm like, that's a perfect word for it.
It's just very daffy. And I felt like while Hacks I felt like Flight Attendant and Hacks are similar in that the early episodes, there were some highs and lows, and you're wondering like, how are they going to stick the landing? And Hacks completely stuck the landing. And Flight Attendant, because some of the twists were really obvious, and some of the twists were so absurd that you would never have predicted it. And then it had no bearing on the plot. I found like a little frustrating, I guess, specifically with the podcaster character, which I know is like a contentious
podcast girl. Yeah.
Podcast girl.
The thing with Flight Attendant, my relationship with Flight Attendant, like since season 1 has always been, I don't think they're actually amazing at the espionage stuff. Like they're actually better at the character stuff.
Yeah.
Like Kaylee's always been great on the show, like from season 1. And she's even better this season. But yeah, like all the character work with Cassie this season was really good. Like Sharon Stone, like the way like she brought her in, and then her final phone call with Sharon in the finale was really touching and moving as well. And like all the stuff with her, like her sobriety and that beach scene with Sheree Agdashli, like I think the character work is really well done. And I don't watch it as a spy show. Like as a spy show, it's not like Alias or like the first like 2.5 seasons of Alias, you know? Just kind of like a fun like entry point for you because there is like a mystery involved and you're like, what's going on? Like who done it? And like who's like the double, which is both Cheryl Hines, Emmy Martin. And yeah, and like they wrapped that up like pretty quickly in the finale. And then there was like this other twist of Podcast Girl for like the next like 20 minutes. you
none of
know.
that worked to me.
And then like a nice Vegas wedding for Annie and Max.
Right. I felt like, I mean, we read, I think you read me something or was in the after show that Kelly Cuoco was like, I think we need one more twist. And this is what they came up with. And I would say all respect.
Oh, and they brought Buckley back because that was like
they brought Buckley back. That was like one of the twists, which they didn't spoil in the opening credits, which I really appreciated that they managed to save him for the end because they do the guest stars in the opening credits. And Colin Woodall, is it Woodall? I think he was not mentioned in the opening credits, so that was a nice surprise. But yeah, I just didn't think that really worked. I felt like it got too silly. It didn't really forward the character at all, and it was like a red herring that they disposed with after the mystery, which felt weird because, like you said, like the whole season is about doubles and Cassie's doubles, and she has multiple doubles, Mae Martin, and then also Cheryl Hines. The Cheryl Hines one was incredibly obvious. I think I called that like second episode or whatever, right? It just seemed like so no kidding that she's like a villain. Spoilers from Flight Attendant, I guess, if you're sorry.
After we've been talking about it for 7 minutes. So.
No, but so like that felt really obvious, and then they disposed of all that, and then to have the last twist be like such a minor, like silly, frankly, twist, just was like, I don't know. It didn't like sour the whole season for me, but it just felt like they had a lot of strands that never came together. The Rosie Perez stuff too, like that story, her story never tied into the main story, really.
No, I mean, we've talked about this, and it felt like they just wanted to keep Rosie Perez on the show. Like Rosie, great, love her, but I like that could have been like a thread they closed in season 1, and like she could just been they could just like talk about her and like what happened to her.
And so they kind of alluded to maybe that being like a third double, right? The female assassin, I forget her name and the actress's name, but like that was like she had like a blonde wig. She ran into Kaylee in Germany, so it was like, oh, maybe she's like part of this, but she was a part of an entirely separate conspiracy theory that they just like wrapped up. And yeah, I don't know. So like we were saying, I absolutely think that show could be finished as a series finale, basically the way.
And Kaylee, before the season premiere, when she was doing press, like she's talked about how she's not sure if there'll be a third season. Like she seems or sounds like she'd be content if this was it for the show.
And I read an interview with EW with like, I think Steve Yockey and the other showrunner who was not on the first season, I believe, but on this season. And she was like, oh, I have a lot of ideas for the third season, if there is one. But you could easily see a scenario where it just is either, like we said, like Zoja Mammoth spinoff show where they're doing like heart to heart, basically, which they reference, I think, in the finale.
Yeah.
Right. And then, which would be really fun, honestly, because her chemistry with that, I'm blanking all the names, right? So who's the actor who plays her now husband?
Dennis Adenas.
Really fun. Just love that performance, love that character, love that actor. The two of them together have great chemistry. That would be a fun show, and you could have like Cassie as like a guest star, basically. I feel like you could do that as a spinoff. You could continue like in the vein of Flight Attendant, doing like those like airport novels as TV shows. A lot of different ways you could do a third season, I guess, but it does feel like at what point does the show start to get repetitive? Like Cassie obviously fell off the wagon in this season and then got back on it and like had like a breakthrough with her mom. Like how many times, like what are you going to have with the character? Like where does she go, I guess?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. And also obviously they use the Mind Palace, that's one of their centerpieces. So like, and I thought what they did this season with just having Cassie's in there, instead of like the victim, like the first season, was good. But I'm like, what would be in season 3? Like who would be in her Mind Palace, I guess?
I don't know. And
are they going to go back to a victim? Like,
right.
I don't know.
So it doesn't, I would not be upset if that's the final episode. I think it was a good season overall. I do think like the finale, maybe people would be like, what is going on here? And I knocked it out for after party. That said, you had mentioned this a lot. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I still have it in there, but like I'm thinking about dropping it, but I don't know what I would replace.
The problem is there's like a lot of other shows that you could put in, but none of them have really had a lot of reach, right? And then like, how do you pick which one? But I wanted to say, you were saying about Kaylee, just an incredible actress and a great performance that somehow will not win an Emmy because Jean Smart is just dominating on Hacks.
She's probably not going to win anything, like any award for this. It's like terrible timing because she had to deal with Catherine O'Hara at the end of her Schitt's Creek run last winter. And then we thought like Catherine's gone for the Emmys last year. Here comes Kaylee. And then Jean Smart's like, hi.
Remember me?
Yeah.
Such a bummer because
So,
she's so good. And like Kaylee Cuoco does a great job, I think, with it's very funny and she really nails the character. I think she just has that character so like she just understands what to do with Cassie as a character. And then the drama stuff is really great. The phone call at the end to Sharon Stone definitely gives Sharon Stone a guest actress nomination, I feel like, for a comedy series, if not the win.
mhm.
Love her.
Yeah. I think Flight Attendant got 9 nominations last year. So I don't know. I think it will go down this year, but I don't know what that tally would be. Like, I think Haley can get in again.
I would be shocked if she doesn't get in, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know about writing or directing. The directing is good.
Directing is great and it's still really fun. And like they do like it's not as if I think there was originality factor in the first season because it was like the different panels and stuff and the way this they tell the story, but it still is like a really well done show. And I feel like it like the directing is top grade. So I could see getting in there. I don't know about writing. I just think it's a more competitive year.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it also depends on like the number of submissions of like other shows as well.
Just the last comedy we can talk about, not in our prediction center yet, but you found this last night by looking at the Disney for your consideration site. Hawkeye. Comedy series.
Submitted it as a comedy. When I checked a couple weeks ago, they hadn't listed any categories yet for any of their shows. But also when I was doing this a couple weeks ago, that was when I discovered that Netflix was going to split Stranger Things because I went on their site 7-2 because they were submitting chapter 7 for multiple categories. So I was like, because they were very cagey about what the split was going to be.
And you know what's funny about that, Joyce, is after you mentioned that and we talked about it, I doubt anybody from Netflix was watching this. But if they were, perhaps they changed their minds because when I went back to show somebody else that, to say like, oh, they had removed because they had like the episode titles for like directing for episode 7, which I think is like Massacre at whatever. I forget what the lab,
like Hawkins Lab or something.
Hawkins Lab. And like they had removed all the designations of what the episode titles were. So it was just like directing the Duffer Brothers. So that was before they revealed that it was going to be 7 and then 2. So maybe that FYC site got the jump on, broke their own personal embargo or whatever on like splitting.
And then when you showed the person that, they were like, you're such a liar.
Right.
Yeah. But it's back now, right? I haven't been back to it since, but
I haven't been back to it.
I think it's back now since now everyone knows it's 7-2. But anyway, yeah, Disney, I like was checking again last night because I was bored. And also because I was like, tomorrow's the last day of eligibility. Let's see if they like finally updated it. And they did like all their submissions, their programs in there, including Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers.
Love that.
But yeah, Hawkeye is in comedy. So
I actually really like that. It is a funny show. It was there definitely a lot of laughs. A lot provided by Florence Pugh and Haley Steinfeld.
So you know what's funny? So last week, my friend and I were doing our TCA Awards nominations ballot, and we were discussing like options for individual achievement in a drama. And then we were talking about like Hawkeye, and then we were talking about Haley, and then we were like, oh, but she was more comedic. And then like last year, I had nominated Elizabeth Olsen in drama and Katherine Hahn in comedy for WandaVision. So then now, like 5 days later or whatever, like Hawkeye is in comedy, and Haley Steinfeld is a lead actress in a comedy series contender.
So she has 2 then, because she's also for Dickinson's final season. Yeah. I don't have her getting in. I could make the argument actually for Florence Pugh. It remains an incredibly crowded category, but I mean, I had her in for limited series actress. I don't know if she gets switched and we actually are doing that. I maybe would put her in. I don't know who I would take out though, because like we're saying, like right now I have Hannah Einbinder, Hannah Waddingham, Sarah Goldberg, Alex Borstein, Juno Temple, Janelle James, Cheryl Lee Ralph, and Kate McKinnon. I don't want to lose my Abbott Elementary stars because I love them so, but I guess they're probably the most vulnerable of that first 8.
Yeah, and I don't even know if like Florence could get in just because she's Florence, like on the strength of being Florence Pugh, no matter how great she was. Like comedy is just tougher in general than limited. Like I mean, I didn't have Hawkeye getting into limited series.
No, I didn't. I wouldn't, but I had Florence in. So now I'm looking at, so Florence Pugh gone. I guess I'll put just to jump. We're not doing limited series, but if I have to take her out, my list right now is Jennifer Coolidge, Andy McDowell, Caitlin Deaver, Faith Hill from 1883, and Juno Temple from The Offer, Joyce. So I guess I'll put Connie Britton in for White Lotus and call it a life. I don't know.
I mean, I guess I'm just going to have to go with 3 White Lotus ladies. in that.
Yeah, you have Alexander Daddario. I don't have her in yet, but I'll put Connie Britton in for sure.
I don't know what's going to happen in supporting limited. Not to go on a complete tangent here, but I remember last year, it was kind of unclear as well, but they had Hamilton to fall back on.
Right, and then they just went
We
ham.
don't have a Hamilton this year.
No, they went ham on Hamilton, Joyce, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, so Hawkeye. I don't know. I'm not going to put it anywhere. How about for our pals, Rescue Rangers? We love that.
Rescue Rangers should be winning Best TV Movie. So, and they're campaigning John Mulaney and Andy Samberg for voiceover performance.
And no J.K. Simmons, which I think is a slight.
He was a star as Captain Putty in that movie.
How would you pick between Andy Samberg and John Mulaney, Joyce?
I would nominate both of them, but I don't know who I would give for the win.
I would probably go Samberg myself.
He definitely, I feel like he'd probably have more to do because it opens with his narration and everything.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. Back to comedy series. If I take Flight Attendant out, I don't know what I would replace it with. So
it's tough. I mean, you have What We Do in the Shadows and Atlanta in.
I have Atlanta. I don't have What We Do in the Shadows, so I could just default to What We Do in the Shadows.
That seems to be what people would expect, right?
Yeah, I guess. There's also I don't have The Great in.
I don't either.
There's Reservation Dogs, which I don't know if it's it's critically acclaimed, but I don't know if it's big enough. The profile is actually big enough. There's Our Guys from the After Party in 13th. Insecure. I don't know. Russian Doll all the way in 18th.
What do you think about Russian Doll? We haven't even talked about it. Do you have Natasha Lyonne getting in?
I have Natasha. So my lead actress, I can't read this. So I have Jean, Kaylee, Quinta Brunson, Sarah Lancashire for Julia, Rachel Brosnahan, and Natasha Lyonne.
Nice. I have all of them except for Natasha, and I have Selena Gomez.
Oh, you put Selena in?
I did. I know that it's not going to be on in time, but I just think that people really like that show, and I think she could get in.
Have you seen the season 2 screeners?
I haven't yet, actually. I have not watched them.
Okay.
I stuck with my not watching.
I was shocked you watched the hack screeners.
You know what? We're kind of running out of stuff to watch, Joyce. Thankfully, it has been an unbearable amount of TV. And then this week we're we caught up on this, caught up on that. Everything is done. And now we could just I'll watch the Hacks finale, I guess. That's good.
Yeah, season 2 of Murders is I've seen the screener, so it's good. I don't know if Selena can do it. I mean, I have both Steve Martin and Martin Shorten, an actor. So I still have Jake Johnson in.
Wow.
For actor.
Me too, honestly.
I have my guy Bill Hader winning.
Me too. I think we have the same picks. And I moved Hannah Einbiter into first for supporting.
Wow.
We didn't even talk about Ted Lasso here. Certainly the favorite, I guess, still. It just, I've said many times, it just feels like not a lot of people they're just not as excited about Ted Lasso at the moment because it's been off the air for almost a year.
Yeah, and also it's a different field this year,
right.
With returning shows that didn't have to go up against last year. So I put Sarah Goldberg in first.
Wow. I'm not sure that has enough. I don't know. I didn't put her in first. I have her, I think, in third. My computer crashed here, Joyce. So the browser does not work. But so I can't check exactly where she is at this moment on May 31st, which is a Tuesday, as we've established. Yep. But I do have her in there. I just don't think, I don't know, is it loud enough to get a win? I don't know. It's not bad predicting it, but I don't know if it is.
No, it's more of a hope diction. Yeah. And she should have won for season 2 because she had the monologue in season 2 when this season she has that speech at the Joplin premiere. So last couple, the 5, 6, she doesn't have a lot to do, but you can really feel her frustration when Joplin gets canceled because of the algorithm after 12 hours. Just an incredible takedown of streaming services. what it's like to live in the age of streaming services. Like it wasn't even like satire because it's like it's real. Like, and yeah, this week, incredible episodes. She's not in it a lot, 710 North. But she has a great scene. We should start an FIC campaign for Beignets by Mitch, because you don't watch Barry, but her character, she, Barry, and NoHo Hank, they all frequent Beignets by Mitch, because that's like the hot shop in town, like line down the block to get these beignets by Mitch. And he's just like a therapist for everyone. Like literally every customer goes to his store and he shares these words of wisdom to everybody, to all three of them, and all three of them just completely ignore him. The episode is just like, you know, the show in general is like people just making terrible choices, because you also have Fuchs once again turning down a life with goats and a beautiful woman to exact revenge on Barry. Like, so a great episode, and the chase at the end, amazing. You have to get Bill Hader directing Emmy, so
I'll watch it. It's on my list.
You should just watch this episode.
I'm too busy watching Stranger Things for a third time. No, not yet. Not yet. Anything else Joyce on comedy before we wrap up here?
Should we do supporting actor? Do you still have Brett Goldstein in first? Because I still do.
I do. I think that he is the one Ted Lasso contender who I would remain in first place for me. It's a great performance. People love Roy Kent, and also there's not an alternative that is very obvious, right? Like Hacks and Barry are like great strong alternatives for comedy series and for actor with Bill Hader over Jason Sudeikis. There are, just because there's so many Barry contenders there, I feel like none of them like rate higher than Brett to me.
Yeah, that's my problem, because I think like Henry Winkler was really strong in the first two episodes, and right now like he's the only character who's has like things going the best for him, sort of. He's learning that you just can't apologize and have people forgive you, even though like doing an apology tour really makes you feel good. But yeah, like he's getting all these offers. He's on Laws of Humanity, and NoHo Hank, Anthony Carrigan, always great. And Stephen Root, yeah, he's like finally coming back into picture with his Revenge Army. So I still have all three getting in, but I don't know if like one of them would stand out in the way that like Brett did last year amongst like the Ted Lasso guys. And he also had the benefit of season 2 airing, which was like super about him.
That was, I think, the big thing.
Episode.
Right. And like, while I've said having no Ted Lasso means that it only hurt, I still think like the category itself helps Brett Goldstein. If I was picking my personal choice, it would be our boy Ben Schwartz, though. Just absolutely with the bullet number one.
I feel like I can't drop him now because I'm gonna pull a U. I talked to him. But I already had him in my predictions before I talked to him. But he was amazing. We talked about everything, including him writing Hugh Jackman's Oscar opening, for which he won an Emmy.
Yes.
And then I made him spell diarrhea. So if you want to watch Ben Schwartz struggle to spell diarrhea, I've got the interview for you.
It's perfect. Like, love it so much. Yeah. Joyce, I love that I love that you pulled a me. It makes me so happy. Done to me. It makes me so happy. No judgment. I love it. Pull a me. It's great. I feel so good. I got Joe Alwyn in there. Still talking.
I know. Pimp is other people. Who have you talked to in the past week that you're predicting now?
Well, Allison Oliver and Joe Alwyn from Conversation with Friends. I could maybe put Jemima Kirk in now that I pumped Florence Pugh out.
Now you have room. You have so much room.
No, I have so much room, so I can put her in. It's so much fun. It's you talk to these people, you find out about their craft. It's really enlightening. But Ben Schwartz rules, and like, oh man, I hope he gets in.
So good. I know. I feel like I need to go down with the ship now.
So let me ask you this: if he gets in, can he actually win? I wonder. I see that's the thing. Like, I think for him, getting a nomination would be the hardest part. I could really make a case for him winning because he's so fun and nice, and I think will be very visible as a campaigner. Like Ted Lasso, the other issue or an issue with the show is that I think they're in production now. Like, I think they're still shooting it now. So it's like people like Brett Goldstein and Juno Temple are going to be busy shooting the show when they could be doing like, you know, campaigning stuff maybe. And Ben Schwartz is like, hell yeah, I'm all over the place. So if he gets in, I think that could be good.
Yeah. Well, also like it'll be because we have no idea. I mean, we have no idea what any of the voters are watching, really.
Well, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
And if they do, well, that's what I was saying about like getting in for after party, not to make this an after party podcast, but like the visibility of it is the toughest hurdle, because I think when people watch it, they would actually really love it. It's so much fun. And the cast is great. And it's like,
I know,
really
like I
funny.
tell all my friends to watch it, and they don't have Apple, and I have to convince them to get it.
And so if it gets in, and like Television Academy voters are faced with the idea that After Party is a show they need to watch, like if it gets in for comedy and Ben, I think that would really help you can make the case for Ben actually winning, because if people watch it, they're forced to watch it because it was a nominee, then, or encouraged to watch it because it's a nominee, then maybe
I would feel so much better if it was like the tape system and he got in, because, you know, like whoever the panel that gets his category would have to watch his tape. And like no matter who, if anyone gets nominated from that show, they all have a tape, you know.
They have a tape, but his tape, episode 3, is absolutely the best one. The songs are amazing. It's just so good. I
was like listening. So I've been listening to the songs so many times that Spotify made me a Ben Schwartz mix.
Yes. What's on it? Sonic the Hedgehog stuff?
No, it's like, well, it changes like every day. So it's like those 3 songs from the After Party. It has, actually I might open it right now. Let me see. It has some like Lonely Island stuff.
It does sound a lot like Lonely Island, the songs, for sure.
Yeah, it had some Crazy Ex-Girlfriend songs because it was the same songwriters.
Right.
So it also has some our guy Nicholas Bertel, because I've also been listening to obviously the Succession season 3 soundtrack. Right, so it's just like basically my recent listens. Yeah, I'm on a boat. Oh, they have Everything's Not Awesome, which Ben Schwartz also sang on from the Lego Movie 2. Yes. They have Nicholas Bertel's Don't Look Up soundtrack that I listened to a lot over the winter.
Still good. Really solid soundtrack.
And the West Side Story soundtrack that I also listened to a lot over the winter.
We love West Side Story, Joyce.
Yes.
Nicholas Bertel, we're going to wrap up. It made me, I think I sent this to you, doing the music for Andor, a Disney Plus Star Wars series, which means that you have to now watch Andor.
I can just listen to it.
I think you got to watch it, see it in context of the Space Wars. Star Wars.
I can just listen to the soundtrack, and I mean that's how I like listen to like Lubin Göransson's Mandalorian scores.
True,
you know?
And Natalie Holt doing Obi-Wan score. All your faves doing Star Wars.
I know.
You got to watch Star Wars, Joyce. It's fun.
They saw that they can win Emmys for scoring Star Wars projects.
Now they're all going to fight for it. But Obi-Wan is not being submitted, Joyce. Doesn't matter.
No, but she has Loki this season, so Natalie has to concentrate on Loki this year. And the next
I will say I love the music for Obi-Wan on Disney Plus now, for plug, and really into it. But I do think the Loki score is more interesting to me. Love that Loki score.
I know it should win theme, and then Bertel can win score.
Yeah, obviously. Joyce, we're so far afield of comedy now. I think we should wrap up. But this was fun. Any last words before we sign off into the LOLs?
Godspeed, I guess.
Okay.
Last day.
This is it. Hopefully your show made it on to a streaming platform.
Hopefully you submitted everything 2 weeks ago when you were supposed to.
Yeah. All right.
Bye, like Hawkeye and comedy.
Yeah.